The thing that I think is really interesting when we think about whole plant medicine is it will be different. It'll be different lots, different strains, different terpene profiles will have a different effect on the individual. So what's the correct answer? Should we only follow that method, or should we start looking for dose responses? In my opinion, we do both.
Yeah, I think you've hit on a great point. This is why Western medicine really hasn't gotten, a lot of why Western medicine hasn't really gotten on board in the cannabis, train, because it's not allopathic. It's not one symptom, one compound, one result like ibuprofen. And while that works really well for certain things, that's not what people have. It seems like we've hidden a lot of benefit from plant-based medicine from people over the last few generations that we really want to get back.
That's right. Even common things. So I said this one smells more citrusy. It's because of citrulline, right?
Yeah.
You also have limonene. Those are very citrusy. Guess what? Limes also have terpenes, right? They have the citrusy ones. Pine trees have pinene, right? Now, this is kind of a wild concept, but these plants have been around a long time. People, or naturally, if they're growing in areas that are full of evergreens and other pine, plants often will share DNA and different molecules with each other.
Yeah.
It's probably likely that this one plant that has higher levels of pinene probably was grown in a place that has other plants that have high levels of that terpene. Right?
And that's where the genetics came from.
That's where the genetics and all of that came from. And so one of the things is this is why different countries also have different strains and land races of different types of marijuana.
Wow.
Right? And they grow differently, and they have different cannabinoid contents and different terpene contents, and it's based partially on what's growing around them. From the Middle East, you get caryophyllene. That's the peppery one that causes you to cough at the back of your throat.
The endocannabinoid system and all of these cannabinoids that we're talking about, as a grower and a producer, what are you doing to help essentially us on the medical side and the patients, find what works?
This is why I believe in both models of the whole plant model and actually Western medicine. I was trained as an analytical chemist, right? And as a bioanalytical chemist, I focus on bodies and systems of life associated with analytical chemistry.
Sure.
The reason why that's important is because for me, I look at this plant and I think somebody could get this whole plant, the flower, they could smoke it, they could have a pain relief, they could have some anti-inflammatory effects. But the other thing that's really fun for me is I can take this plant, I can now pull out all of its oil, everything that's inside of there. I can pull out its terpenes, I can pull out its cannabinoids, and I can separate all those things. And then when somebody comes to me and says, I need a medication that's higher in CBG, I now have a resource, an isolated molecule I can now specialize and make like a compounding pharmacy. Right. I can compound medicine that's specific to an ailment.
So for people who don't want to inhale, for people who want a longer acting than an inhaled method, right? Because if you vaporize flower, you're going to get 3 to 4 hours of effect, right?
That's right.
And if you take an oil, you're going to get 6 to 8 hours of effect.
That's right.
So what you're saying is you're working on ways to extract the material out of these plants, put them in different formulations so that if I don't want to inhale, I can still get the benefit from the plant and from the CBG and all that, all those cannabinoids.
That's right.
But I can use it in a way that works for me. I think that's a great thing here in Utah, especially where we are right now. And our culture, because there's a big religious culture here, and not everybody wants to inhale. In fact, I think the church is not really ready to use an inhaled method yet.